Listen to me, I want to be the first one to tell you that making music does not have to be hard. Now listen, I know the position that you're in where it's super confusing. You don't know what all the effects do. You don't even know how to lay out a song. You don't know any of the shit that there is to making music, and it just seems kind of hopeless. Thankfully, the algorithm blessed you with my video and you recommended, because in this video, I'm going to show you everything that you need to know to, for one, make a song, and then for two, to make it sound good. And if you watch all the way to the end of this video, I absolutely guarantee you that you will know all of the things that there are to be knowed about making music. So I don't want to waste your time. I'm just going to get into it. This is going to be a long video, but I can virtually guarantee you by the end of it, if you watch it all the way through, you will have what you need to make music. So with that being said, let's get into it. Now, as you can see in here, we have a bunch of effects, and this is just like a full mixed vocal that I've already done with the experience that I have. We're going to go through all of these different effects. I'm going to explain to you every single effect, what it does, why we use it, how we use it. And then by the end of the video, you're going to be able to copy this entire thing. And I'm also going to give you this entire chain for free so that you can experiment with it, you can tweak it, and you can use it for yourself, because it actually sounds good. Like, it's a legitimate, like, I could release this song and it would be good. But before I go through all of it on the actual track for the vocals I have up here for an actual song, I'm just gonna do like a simple vocal down here. I'm gonna record it out, and we're just gonna play with it with all the effects, and I'm gonna show you what they all do and how to use them. Now, if you have no idea like how to even record your vocals, don't worry about it, because I've made a completely free course that teaches you how to record your first ever vocal. I have a link you can go click, second link in the description, and you join that community thing on school.com. I literally have a free course that you can go watch, and it teaches you how to make your very first song. But with that all being said, let me just record out a very simple vocal with no effects on it, and then I'll just tweak it with you. Okay, so now I recorded this out. Let's see what it sounds like. Hello there, my name is Sunlight. The first effect that I'm going to share with you is one of the most basic and fundamental ones, but it can be kind of confusing, so make sure that you pay attention, because I'm going to explain it in the best way that I can. It's called an EQ. So now what are we looking at? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bands. What do these bands do? Well, if I play my vocals, now that I have this EQ on there, what's going to happen is my vocals are going to route through this, and it's going to get routed through all of these different effects, and it's going to pass through this EQ. So what's going to happen on my screen is we're going to be able to see all the frequencies here. So let me show you. Hello there, my name is Sunlight. As you can see, these are all the different frequencies in my vocals. What we're doing with an EQ, what we're supposed to do with an EQ, is we're supposed to essentially find the frequencies that do not sound good, and we cut them out, and then we use some of the good frequencies to boost up, and then we make the vocals sound better in the mix with those good frequencies. Now, we're gonna start off with finding the bad frequencies in our vocals, because that's easier. So there's only one technique that you need to use to find the bad frequencies in your vocals. That is called a subtractive EQ. When I play this out, you're going to see all of the different frequencies, and what we can actually do is we can boost all of the different frequencies by scrolling down on the mouse wheel on one of these bands. Not this one or this one. Don't do those, because they do something else. All of these ones in the middle, if we scroll down, you can notice that it's a lot more strict if we scroll down. So I'm scrolling down. Notice how it's like that now. Now what we're actually able to do is drag these up and boost the volume of only specific frequencies, instead of it normally being like this, and now the whole fucking thing is just completely boosted up. Now if we turn it down like this with the mouse wheel, we can actually find the specific frequencies in our vocals that we do not like the sound of, and then we can turn them down. So now you probably don't really understand what areas of the EQ to look in, and I'm going to show you some of the common ones, but there are also some things you can get online. And actually, in my free community, second link in the description, I have a free cheat sheet that shows you all of the different things for the EQ, like all of the different areas for the EQ. So you go join that, and you can go download that right away, and it'll show you all the different areas just right in one image. But I'm going to show you some of the common. So the most common, and one of the most important ones that you need to remove, is anything below the sub. Now, this is not actually doing that subtractive EQ thing that I just showed you, but we do need to cut this out, because anything down here is very muddy. So this is just a very universal thing. Pretty much every single mix that you listen to has this kind of cut. It's just because all of the bass and the beat that you use is taking up this area, and we don't want them clashing with each other, because you never want things in the mix clashing with each other. So we just want to turn it down simply like this, and yeah, that's all we want to do for that. Now we can start with actually subtractive EQing. We drag it up like like this, and we just drag it up to not all the way up, but just like a decent volume. And we just want to go throughout the song left and right, and we're going to hear certain frequencies that we don't like the sound of, and when we find them, we just want to turn them down. So you can kind of hear this one right here gives it's really harsh when I boost it up. Hello there. You see, that's like really harsh. So we could just drag it down like this, and now it's going to cut that frequency out. Now be careful, you don't want to go down like this, because that's not the point of an EQ. The point of an EQ is not to remove a frequency, it's to just dull the frequency down so that it's not so harsh. Now this is kind of getting rid of the muddiness. So this right here is all for mud. This is kind of getting rid of the boxy noise in your vocal. And we have another area that we can look at, and that is in the 500 area, and this is called the honky area. I don't like saying that word, but it kind of sounds like a goose. So if you'd imagine like a fucking goose, like that, like your mother sounds like that, you can look in the 500 hertz area, and that will find kind of the nasaliness in your vocals. So if you feel like your vocals are too nasally or giving you too much of a noise, you can turn it down in the 500 area. So if I find that frequency, hello there, bro, there it is, bro, there's the goose noise. You turn that shit down like that, and it just looks like this. Now you can also take these bands and you could just kind of go all over the place and find certain frequencies. So if I just want to fucking go haywire on my vocals, have at it, bro. Now the next thing that normally people will do is they will boost up the highs like this, and the reason we do this is because this high end area gives clarity to your vocals so that they punch through the mix more. If we have too much low end, what's going to happen is that low end is going to naturally fight with the beat, because beats take up a lot of low end just naturally. So what we need to do to kind of offset that is we need to boost more in the high ends, just like this. So now I'm going to go through this completely free vocal chain right here, and I'm going to show you these two EQs, and I'm going to show you before and after with them. So I'm going to turn off every single effect. We're going to listen to these raw vocals with no effects on them, and then we're going to turn on the EQs, and you're going to see what the difference is. I just wanna kill me, baby. And he just a rapper killing lately. No. And by the way, I'm biting off Jace. If you don't know Jace, go listen to his music. I am literally biting off him so hard just to make this song, because he's made this song a million different times. But anyway, now if we go through these EQs, so as you can see, I did a big cut right here. I did a little bit of a cut here. I cut this frequency here. I did the exact same shit that I showed you earlier, just subtractive EQing frequencies I don't like. We have a tiny little boost. You probably can't even notice it, but it is a tiny little boost. And then I have another EQ that does this, and this is shaping the vocal more. So I've just kind of shaped up the vocal, and you could copy this shit. It's completely fine if you copy it, but now this is what it sounds like with the EQs on. I wanna see me in it, baby. I just wanna kill me, baby. And he just a rapper killing lately. No, no. The next effect that I'm going to share with you is compression. Compression is how we take a vocal that has a lot of dynamic volume. And what I mean by that is, if we look at a vocal, so we look at this one right here, this is really loud, right? It looks just really loud if you look at it. It's all the way up here, right? But right here, it's not too loud, correct? What would happen if we didn't apply any effects to this and we just listened to it? Well, this part would be pretty quiet and this part would be pretty loud. And the problem with that is that means that the volumes of all of our vocals are just completely different from each other. The way that we solve that is with compression. So the way that compression works is you set a certain knob, aka a threshold knob, to a certain volume, and when that threshold is passed by your vocal or whatever you apply oppression to, it could be a beat, it could be your master, it doesn't matter. Whenever you pass that threshold in volume, it's going to look at what you set the ratio knob to, and it's going to compress by that amount of ratio. And then once it's done with that, we have a gain knob, and the gain knob is essentially just turning the entire vocal back up because we are going to lose volume by compressing. So now that might be a little confusing, but do not worry, it's going to be very easy to understand. We're going to solo out these vocals again, and I'm going to show you what compression sounds like. Now I do have to warn you, compression is actually pretty hard to verbally hear just because it's a very subtle effect that you're going to be applying. It's not something that's going to completely morph the sound like an EQ is a little bit easier to hear, versus compression is you need an ear for it. However, this is what a compressor looks like. I'm just using this stock Fruity compressor. There's so many different compressors. I'm sure a lot of people will write in the comments what compressors they like to use so that you can go and experiment. But all compressors basically have the same knobs, so we're just gonna run through it. So for the threshold, like I said, this is when the compressor is actually going to be activated, and it works in volume, which is dB. So volume is, it's expressed through dB, like you see right here, and you can see the dB of whatever your vocal is if you look right here. So when I go a little bit louder, blah, see, it goes all the way up here, but if I'm all the way down here, it's just staying at around 18 to 12, just depending on what I'm saying. Sometimes it goes up because I have P, like when I say P, it goes a little bit higher like that. But as you can see, there's an average amount, and sometimes it goes louder. Our goal with compression is to bring those loud parts and these semi-loud parts back down to this part right here. So now, in order to actually know where we need to set the threshold, we need to do exactly that. We need to find where the quieter parts of our vocal are, and we need to set the threshold to that. So if I just watch my vocal, or I watch this vocal right here, so we're gonna watch this one. Hello there, my name is Sunlight. I kind of noticed that it went down to here for just a split second, but the rest of the vocals are up here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set the threshold to the -12, so that anything above that is always just gonna get compressed down, so that it's matching right here. So just for this, I'm gonna set it to -12. So this is something similar that you would want to do. And now what's going to happen is we're gonna just keep it at -12. We're gonna listen to it, and as you're gonna see, something's gonna happen. Hello there, my name is Sunlight. As you can see, absolutely nothing happened to the volume. It's still the same thing. The reason for that is because we need to change this ratio knob. Now, I don't need to explain the idea of what ratio is on the YouTube video, because I want this to be a very simple, basic, fundamental video for you to get into mixing. However, if you do want extra help and you want me to go in detail to all of these knobs, you want me to go in detail with all of the other things that you need to learn, such as vocal layering, unlocking your creativity, learning how to flow, how to write lyrics, how to write catchy lyrics, how to do all of these different things, like the equipment that you need, things like this, and you want like direct one-on-one help from me, where you can ask me for feedback whenever you want, you can DM me whenever you want. The only way you can get access to something like that is by joining my sound school. It's going to be the first link in the description. You can go click it right now, and I'm just going to show you what it's like. So currently we have 70 members, and also inside, when you join, you get the full mixing and mastering course, you get vocal layering course, plugin masterclass, equipment masterclass, success mindsets, creativity, and all of these different things. You get all of the vocal presets that have ever been on my YouTube channel. You just get a bunch of shit, so I don't want to waste your time anymore with the self promo, but I'm telling you right now, that is absolutely the best opportunity that you can join in on. If you want help from me and you want to guarantee your music is better, literally look at this. This guy joined 2 days ago. As you can fucking see, this is a member of my paid community. He joined literally 2 days ago. I recorded a full video for him because he asked if he could get some help for the EQ. I told him to post it in the community. He posted it, and I gave him a full fucking video response. So blah blah blah, you get the idea. Best way to fucking invest into your music, absolutely by far. Anyway, what the ratio knob is the ratio knob is just how much compression we are actually going to apply. So for rap vocals, we don't really need to apply that much compression, because if you think about it, we're not really going that crazy. We're not really whispering or anything like that. We're staying at a consistent volume. We're just rapping. The flow of our breath is just kind of the same the whole time. However, if you are making like rock music, for example, some people like Deftones and stuff like this, they have to whisper sometimes. They go, watch you. They'll go like that. And obviously, if then they start screaming, they have to match those two together, so they do need more compression. And the way to give more compression is by using this ratio knob. So I'm just gonna leave you off with an idea of where to be. If your vocals are more consistent and they kind of look how these do, these look pretty consistent, right? This looks pretty consistent. This is consistent. This is all consistent. This is consistent. Just leave it at like 5. But the more that you notice that it's starting to go up and down more, I would recommend that you bump it up all the way up to 8.5. You can be around in that range and just play with it. And now if I play it, you're going to notice that the volume of these vocals is going to be lower. Hello there, my name is Sunlight, and I am so sexy. And you're gonna notice that it's not actually going to -12. That's because the way that the ratio knob works is there's some math into it. I explain it in my paid community, but you don't really need to understand it. It's just, all you need to understand is that the more ratio there is, the more compression it's going to be applying. But just play around with that ratio knob and play around with the threshold, and you will be able to figure out what sounds best for you. And then if your vocals are quiet, just use this gain knob. All it does is just turn it back up. That's all you need to know about compression. So let's go to the next effect. Our next beautiful effect is going to be autotune. I'm sure you've heard of it, and I'm sure you might actually know what it does, but if you don't worry, I'm going to show you exactly what it does and how we tweak it to make it sound incredible. So the autotune that we're going to be using is going to be Intra's autotune. Literally every single person uses it, bro. All the rappers, all of the big fucking people, they all use Intra. When you open your autotune, it's going to look pretty confusing if you don't know what you're doing, but don't worry, it's going to be very simple to understand. The first thing that we need to do is we need to find the key in the scale of the beat we are using, because the way that autotune works is you give it a key and a scale, and it takes your vocal, and when you are not matching that key and scale, it will do whatever it needs to put you onto that key and scale. If you don't know what a key and scale is, it's essentially just when we look at a piano like this, there's certain notes and keys that the beat that you're using is going to fall under. But say for example, if your beat was in C major, that would mean that all of the white keys were the ones used, and if you were ever singing a black note, it would not sound good because it just doesn't fit under that key and scale. So your autotune, if it was set to C major like it's supposed to be, then it would automatically take any of the black notes that you sing and it would put it down to a white. So in order to find the key and scale of our beat, we need to solo out our beat by right clicking this green thing so that everything else is turned off. We want to go onto our master and we want to put this plugin called an auto key. You will also get this when you do get interest. So we play the beat now, and what'll happen is it'll spit out on screen a key and a scale. It's gonna listen for a second. So B major is the key and the scale. So what we want to do is come into our autotune that we put down earlier, and we want to set it to B major. Now the knobs that are important for us are going to be this one, and this one. This one right here is how fast the autotune is going to go. If you had this at 0, it would be the absolute fastest it could possibly go at, and you would be able to tell that it is autotuned. You would kind of sound like old T-Pain, like, you know, that, like Heartless by Kanye West, that type of stuff. That's like full pure autotune, and there's no sort of slowness on their autotune. It's literally just direct their fucking autotune to shit. And if that's the sound that you're going for, that's fine. Go for that sound. But if you're not going for that sound and you want a more natural sound, then you could turn this down so that it's just going a little bit slower and it's not instantly putting you on key right away, and it's just, like I said, going a little bit slower. Now if you want to get rid of more of that auto-tune-ness, even more, this flex tune knob, essentially what that is I'm going to open the piano to show you this. All of these notes from C to C sharp to D sharp to E to F and blah blah blah, you get it. All of them are something called 100 cents away from each other. So every single note that you see, a whole note is 100 cents away from each other. This knob right here is how many cents you want to allow yourself to sing off key before it auto keys you. So what the fuck does that mean? It means if you were supposed to be singing the note C, and that was the note that would be on scale and key with your beat, but you accidentally sing C sharp and that's not a part of the key and scale, you're not necessarily just always gonna be right fucking on this note. Sometimes you might be in the middle of these two notes. You might just be maybe 50% above C, so it's kind of just enough to hear that you're a little off key, but it's not fully off key. So what this knob does is it allows you to choose how much you want to be off before it actually auto-tunes you. So if we were to set this to 100, it would let you be a full note off because every single note is 100 cents from each other. If you set it to 50, you'd be 50% off key, and anytime that you go above that 50 cents off key, it would auto-tune you back to where you're supposed to be. So now some good auto-tune settings that I've personally used would be around 20 flex tune, and the retune speed you have to tweak according to your vocals. If your vocals sound like shit because you don't know how to be on pitch and you just haven't trained your ears to do that yet, then you want to set this a little bit lower, so this could work. Or you could keep this here so that it's not risking being off tune too much, and you could just turn this up. Like, you just tweak around with it and you see what you like the sound of. But if you're going for that more natural sound, I would go for around a 30 flex tune, 30 to 50 flex tune, and retune speed of 5 to 0, around there. Now this humanize knob, I've played with this, and to be honest with you, I actually don't really know what it does. However, if you do turn it on in some songs, it makes it sound better. I think the idea of what Humanize does is it makes it so that when you're sustaining notes like this, like these right here, it will do its best to not bring you up and down because that would sound unnatural. If we hover over it, it'll tell us add realism to sustain notes at high retune speeds. So I think that's what that means, is that it won't try and auto tune you when you're sustaining notes. However, if you're making rap music, you're not really sustaining notes like that, so don't really worry about it, but you can play around with it if you'd like. This, we don't really need to touch it. And the other thing that you do need to know is this detune knob right here. So sometimes some beats that you use will have something called a detune on them. I'm not going to explain it in detail, but you can see up here it says A equals and a number. Sometimes that might be completely different to what the autotune is, so you have to tweak that. So if the A equals, say for example 452 or something like that, you have to change this detune to match what that is. Now that's all you need to know for autotune. Autotune is really easy to use. A lot of people struggle with the roboticness, but just replay this module a few times and you will learn exactly how to do it, and you should be able to pull off a pretty good sound. So now let's get on to the next effect. Guys, I don't know if I could take this any fucking longer, bro. This video is way too fucking long for me, bro. I've changed my outfit like 4 times because I just can't be fucking ass recording this shit, but I guess I have to keep going. The next few effects that we need to apply to our vocals, the ones that you need to know about, are pretty easy to understand, and they're just like actual effects. They change the sound of your vocals. So I'm not gonna make their own separate chapters in the video because they kind of all follow, they kind of go under the same type of category. So we're just gonna go through them all very quickly. The first one is a noise gate. So a noise gate is essentially, it's like a no, it's not like a fucking compressor. It's essentially, whenever we're not talking, it turns the signal to 0 so that it gets rid of the static. Because if you look at my vocals, right, you see that right there, there's static right there. So essentially all a noise gate does, we use a Fruity limiter to do this, by the way, but there's other noise gate plugins, but it doesn't matter. Just use Fruity limiter. You just copy these knobs right here, and then you change this threshold depending on like when you want it to cut out the static. So like if this is all the way up here, it would cut out all my vocals, and just because the vocals wouldn't go high enough. But if it's down here, you put it right above that static that you see in your vocals, and it'll cut it out because we have the gain set to 0. So it'll literally just, it'll make the signal just go to 0. The next thing that we have is called saturation. So you can use Soundgoodizer, you can get away with it. People will say you shouldn't because it's like a free stock plugin. Fuck yourself. It sounds fine. So just do whatever you want, bro. If you don't want to use Soundgoodizer and you want to play around, just look up saturation plugins or look up Fresh Air because that's a free saturation plugin. It gives you a little bit more to play with. You can tweak where you want the saturation. So like with Fresh Air, you can do it in the mid or you can do it in the high end. So it does give you more of an control over the saturation, but who fuck cares, bro? Saturation just makes the harmonies in your vocals sound better. It boosts them up, and it just makes your vocals sound brighter and more brighter, better, gooder, stuff like that. So just always add on saturation, basically, unless you're not going for the sound of saturation. But yeah, just play around with it and you'll see what it sounds like. The next effects that I'm going to show you are reverb and delay. These ones fall into kind of the same category. So reverb is essentially when I scream in my room, or you were in an empty living room. Just imagine you're in a room with no couch and you scream, you're gonna hear reverb. That's what reverb is. It's like the noise, but it's not necessarily a full-on echo where it's not repeating itself, but it's an echo of like what you said has a trail to the end of it, so it's not instantly just snapping out, like it's not going instantly quiet. It has reverb to it. With reverb, we want to turn it down here. So this is how we turn down the effect volume. We want to turn it down there. And the point of reverb is just to spread our vocals out a little bit in the mix so that they're not just straight dead on in the middle of our headphones like that. It's to kind of spread them out between the two headphones to make them wider. So in order to do that more, we use this separation knob to the left, and that spreads it out more. And just make sure you turn it down here. And then the same thing with delay. Delay is kind of the same thing. It's just that it's not doing that trail. It's like literally repeating your vocals. This just fills up more space, so why not put it there? Right click this, click set 8 steps. That's the setting that I use all the time. I use delay 2, and then we just turn it down here. Now there's a bunch of different effects that you can research. So like Fruity Chorus, Fruity Flanger, Fruity Flangist, Love Filter, all these different effects that you can play around with. But most of the time you just want to use these effects that I've showed you in this video, and you can absolutely pull off a good mix. So we're gonna see what the mix sounds like. If you want extra help, make sure you go first link in the description right now. Click that, join my paid community. Absolutely best way that you can get good at making music, and that would be the next step that I would recommend you take, because you do need to learn how to do layers, ad-libs, harmonies, all this different shit, and I show you how to do that in my paid community. But anyway, this is what the vocals are going to sound like. If you want this vocal chain, second link in the description, free community, go join, and I give you this for free. Anyway, this is what it's. I wanna see me